I
Carrie
think it's
Lake.
important that we remember.
Isn't she the one who was like murdered by an immigrant? They talk
Who?
about Lincoln
You're talking about
Riley
Lake-
is who I'm going
Lake
for.
and Riley. She was the one who
Yeah.
was murdered by
Must
an
be
illegal.
River Riley. I like it.
Yeah, she's beaten to death over the course of like half an hour here in Athens, Georgia, by a
Brutal.
migrant that we bust around and flew around the country to on our dime. Hilarious. I'm glad that guy's in prison for the rest of his life, and they named a law after.
They should have
her.
sent him to El Salvador.
Nobody. We all want to be tough on crime, but I
Yeah.
think that tough on crime gets waived anytime we want to like do some shit and take away some liberty. So you got to walk that thin line. I hope that they did send Venezuelan street gang members to that hellhole, but I hope they didn't accidentally scoop up a fucking taco stand vendor or like, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah,
I doubt, you know what I mean? That
How many
kind of
people
rough.
was it? Was I right about 250? I have 150 in my
clicked off
head.
the
I
video.
don't want to be wrong.
Yeah,
Does
I
it
don't
say it in
know.
the video.
I remember
It says
doing the
over
math.
200 alleged members, and so
Okay, so I was close.
It was like a
yeah,
quarter million
you're
a
on,
piece
you're in the
or something.
ballpark.
I remember doing the math in my head, and it was going to cost like $250,000 a piece or something like that. What we paid them to take them, and I was like, "That's a steal."
That might be
Is
a
the-
bargain. Yeah. Is prisoner want 50 grand a year? Does that sound
I think
right
it's
to you?
50. I have that number in my head too. Yeah.
Yeah. So 5 years of break even.
5 years.
Well, El Salvador has these big, beautiful prisons that are just looking for a bunch of gang members.
They're so scary. That
Good.
Who's they
Like,
in your sentence?
that prison,
The prisoner
that prison,
or
and
the
its
prison?
facilities,
Oh, okay,
and
prison.
it's
Dude, have you seen the stats on like who commits violent crime? It's like a shockingly low number of people. Like in New York, something like a plurality of violent assaults and like sex crimes and stuff was committed by like 1,000, 2,000 people, and it was just them in a revolving door, just over and over and over and over and over. And so it's like, yeah, take those people and lock them up forever. They've already showed they can't participate in common society, at least not nice Western common society. And so fuck off. Like a lot of people just need to be locked up. Like if you're a repeat violent offender, like you're out, no more chances. No more coming out. Shut it down.
So, like,
their rights don't supersede the rights of the people they're going to harm.
When I was younger than you, 3 strikes you're out was like created, and I was like 10,000% on board. I'm like, look, I don't necessarily want to ruin a guy forever for like a bar fight, but when we get into triplicates here, well, now you're telling me who you are. And now every so often there's like, one was like this sort of justifiable bar fight. One was the thing that, it actually makes him a bad guy. And the other is this new thing that's a misunderstanding. He didn't even start the fight. And now that's his 3rd strike and he's screwed. Is that the common situation? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, when you take away judgment from judges with these mandatory sentences, I think you might make a mistake. Like it should be a guideline that the judge is inclined to follow, but still is allowed to use.
I like those slap on the wrist type judges myself.
Well, I mean, I'm not going for that either. But if a judge could use judgment, like that. Okay, let's admit this one thing is a bullying incident. We hate that. This other thing, he was the bullying victim. And that's not the same as the other violent crimes.
I don't think that's reminiscent of most of these situations, though. I think like most of them are involved.
That's why
in
I like
violent
guidelines, but not mandates.
If
So
you're
the judge can
involved in
judge a
like,
little.
if you're involved in like, 8 violent crimes and you claim they're all self-defense, like I don't believe you.
Have you ever seen a Chuck Norris movie? It happens.
It does.
That's true.
Sometimes,
Checkmate.
everywhere you go, all the time, you're attacked by groups of ninjas. Okay, what am I supposed to do? Lay the fuck down?
And he has to kung
Lay
fu
fuck
the
down?
ninjas to death.
Hell no, I'm not gonna lay the fuck down. I'm Delta Force. I already rescued those guys back in Nam. I'm gonna defend myself. They're mass ninjas. They could be commies. And so I did. Okay. Turns out
Stop being so silly, Taylor.
I'm being
it was
so good.
Halloween, and I misunderstood some things, but that 3 strikes you're out, I think so.
It was Halloween and I
No.
misunderstood. That's funny.
Like
I just want to get it right. Like I'll throw away a key. I'm right with you on like
I
the guy you're
empathize,
describing, etc. But every so often there's a guy who's like, man, I did one shitty thing. The other 2 were kind of more borderline, but 3 strikes. There's no
I think
choices to be made.
what's more common than the like
I don't want
innocent
common. I want to
guy.
be
I
right
want to be
all
the
the
one to
time.
decide.
like I
Don't you?
think more common it's like someone commits a violent assault, some defender and then judge gives them leniency, and then they go and assault another innocent person because they haven't that's what
never happens.
I think really is going on. Yeah, that doesn't happen thousands of times a day all the time. And so it's
you break a really good point. And I'm like, man, like, so there's I'm going to misquote it, but it's like, it's better to set 100 guilty men free than to lock one innocent one up. And it's like, all right, do you agree with that or not?
No, because those 100, no, because it's more complicated than that. Like it's a crime. Like you don't want to be locking up innocent people.
Right.
But 100 guilty violent assaulters, murderers, rapists, whatever, back out on the street harms.
Look at all these qualifiers.
Well, these aren't qualifiers. That's what we're talking about.
The innocent guys didn't get qualifiers. They didn't get to be priests and mothers and children. They just got to be the innocent who were
add
convicted.
Whatever qualifier. But
the bad guys get the qualifiers. All right, it's you and your family, all of them.
So Taylor, like, just you would do 199 bad guys and one good guy. You'd lock them all up and say society's better on average.
Oh, on average, like if we're just using an average,
they are better on average.
Yes,
I'm just not
on
sure.
Average, they would be better. Like morally, it's
my goal.
It's a quandary.
My goal
because think about this. Like let's take 99 murderers, just to use the most baseline, or 100 murderers. 100 people accused of murder. 99 of them are guilty. One is innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the qualifiers.
What
Woody said?
100 men.
He said guilty men and innocent men.
I'm just picking a crime, murder. Would you rather do
You're
rape?
Making it harder.
Oh, I'm okay. Well, if it's making it harder, that's good. 100 people accused of murder, 99 guilty, 1 innocent. All 100 are locked up. Does the murder rate go down or up?
Down.
Irrelevant.
Down. And so all the people's lives who would have been murdered are continuing. And so if you're just doing this like weird utilitarian math question, then yes, that is better. It's only when you get into like a moral quandary of like, is that one person's innocence worth the other 99 people potentially
99.
Murdering more
That's
people?
Interesting because it would be 2,000 people, 2,000 Americans a year we'd send to the electric chair who were innocent with your plan.
And how many would not be innocent? Like 100.
I get if we're going to free all the murder convictions on the other way,
it would be 190,000 murderers.
No. What I'm saying is. What I'm saying
don't have that many murders here.
We're not looking at whether there would be it's a better future or it's a happier time or we just want to live in a society where that's true. It's like what's right and wrong, right? It's a philosophical question, not a math question.
Also, that's why on the philosophical,
I don't want innocent people going to jail.
I just want to explain where I'm coming from.
Sure.
In his scenario, every innocent man was going free too, and I guess that is how I laid it out. So in fairness, but I think in the practice, if we wanted to make sure no innocent men got locked up, then probably not 99 guilty ones also go free. Probably we get like 90 of the guilty ones, and then 9 guilties get lumped in with the innocent, but at least no innocents go to prison. Did I explain it clearly?
Yes. And so like it was the framing of like the 99 to 1 that made it very easy for me at least to be like, yeah, obviously that's better for
so now we're like, well, we have good evidence against
moral
90
quandary.
But if we've made our burden of proof high enough that the innocent guy goes free, and sadly so do 9 guilties.
Yeah. And so if that's it, then it's like
now it's harder.
It does get harder. Yeah, because you like there is a lot of value to the innocent person not being scooped up.
Aren't we just doing one of those train track like conversations at this point?
Yeah, the trolley.
Yeah, that is what it is.
Yeah, I don't want to send any innocent people to prison.
What is the number that no?
Well, it's a silly question, right? It's a silly question.
I'm right here.
Well, like you're asking, what's the number of imbalance that?
No, I didn't ask that because that would have been an unfair framing, and so I totally empathize with what you're saying. Like, it is better to have more innocent
circle
people
back to the previous conversation. Now we're throwing people into an El Salvador Supermax, and we don't even know their name, but they kind of seem like gangsters.
We don't know their name, but we know their name's not Mike Smith from Georgia. We know.
Why did they not give their names when asked?
Yeah, and some of them have no criminal records, and some of them we don't even know their names, and so that's like you don't know.
I would imagine that if they were citizens and like mechanics, they would have given their name and they would have checked it, but they're likely not. They're probably affiliated.
I don't think anyone's claiming they're like upstanding citizens. Your doctors in there somewhere, but we are definitely saying that like we don't really know if they did anything. They just seem
And
like the people that
I do
things.
care less about the rights of non-citizens than I care about citizens.
This is also nebulous to me. Like it just feels like we're talking about a fog or something. Because my question would be, okay, we sold these people to El Salvador, or no, we paid El Salvador.
I think we had to pay for it. There's no way they give us money.
We paid these people to take these human beings from us. What are they going to do with them? Are they going to try them? I would imagine they are. I would imagine they're going to be tried in the Venezuelan system for the crimes that they committed in Venezuela and then be punished as such. Because it doesn't make sense to me. I'm thinking like from a capitalist standpoint, it doesn't make sense business-wise for me for this prison to say, yeah, we'll just house them forever. Like in the dark wing where we have no idea who anybody is. Mm-hmm. They're going to want to identify and punish with the correct years and then shuffle them out of the prison so they can sell those beds to more Americans, right?
Yes.